Welcome back to this week's Ohio Tech Report, another exciting week for tech and innovation in the Buckeye State. This week, we have three stories around an interesting fundraising announcement, more Silicon Heartland news, some cool kind of e-commerce delivery with one of Ohio's name brands. So we're going to dive into that in just 1 second, but we want to welcome David Kilroy from Shawnee State University. David, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for joining us. Why don't you, if you could, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're working on at Shawnee State.
Yeah, Chris, thanks so much for having me. So like you said, my name is David Kilroy. I'm the director of the Kricker Innovation Hub here at Shawnee State University in Portsmouth, Ohio. The Kricker Innovation Hub is the flagship facility for the university entrepreneurship center, and really meant to bridge the university to the private sector and entrepreneurship, building on our top 10 game development program nationwide. So it's a great opportunity for us, and we've got a grand opening here in August I'm really excited about.
Yeah, you're doing some big work. And again, I love following along, especially some of the esports stuff, which is just such a cool story. I know we'll dig into that a bit more. But before we start, we do have to thank our presenting sponsor for the Ohio Tech Report, which this week is Apprenti. And Apprenti is a 501c3 nonprofit that delivers registered apprenticeship programs to bridge the tech talent and diversity gaps. By adapting the time-tested model of apprenticeship, Apprenti helps employers meet evolving workforce needs and trains future tech workers with an emphasis on underrepresented groups, including women, people of color, veterans, and people with disabilities. Apprentice programs are industry recognized and federally approved for employers with tech talent needs across the entire United States. David, after we thank them, we'll dig into story number one now. Which is a cool fundraising announcement from a part of the state you're very familiar with, Northeastern Ohio, but in Cleveland, a company called Felux, Felux, will tag them, but they are an online B2B steel marketplace and supply chain platform. They raised a $19 million Series A to, as they say, digitize outdated industrial commerce. So this is pretty cool because they digitize every element of the industrial supply chain, allowing buyers and sellers to source, procure, ship, track, and finance all in one platform. And so some of the investors include Lightbank 8VC and Jumpstart Ventures, which is a Cleveland-based company. But a really cool story, and I think, David, something that I, in addition to being a big Series A, that I found interesting was, steel. Cleveland has such a rich history in all of this, and just to see kind of that next evolution of business coming out of something that the area's been good at for a while is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really think it goes to show how people are still finding all sorts of new and innovative ways to revolutionize supply chain and new applications for this type of technology.
Yeah, it's really, really neat. And so we'll link that story in there. Congrats to them, but it's just the latest Ohio Tech startup to watch. Doing some cool things. And again, a couple Cleveland tie-ins, which is pretty neat. Story two, David, though, is something that I'd love to get your perspective on. And this is an interesting article from Columbus CEO, and it's on how Ohio colleges are building a Silicon Heartland workforce ready for Intel. And so, we know it. Everyone who's watching knows it. One of the biggest challenges out there for businesses is talent, both in terms of quantity, making sure that we have enough workers, but also quality, that they have the skills and they have the training and the education in order to build really cool things. And so it's really neat. We'll tag that story in the comments also. But David, we'd love your perspective of what's happening at one of Ohio's colleges and universities as we look to build a Silicon Heartland, that has all sorts of jobs and career opportunities for people.
Yeah, I think, let's be honest here. It's all about workforce. That's exactly why Intel decided to come to Ohio. We have a great university system, a great pipeline, and a talented and educated workforce. So it's important to lean into that, I think, and to recognize the role that plays. And even more importantly, to recognize with the Intel opportunity, how many other opportunities will be coming to Ohio as a result of that, how many other opportunities that we need to be ready to take advantage of. And furthermore, the people that are involved in this, how great is it to have this in Ohio? It's absolutely a game changer. I think all of the universities know that, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other cool thing is you're in Portsmouth, as southern Ohio as you can get on the Ohio River. And we were just talking about Cleveland, which is just as north as you can get on Lake Erie. Intel's coming to Central Ohio physically, but suppliers, supply chain, as we've talked about, the education side to it, literally all parts of the state from north to south, east to west, everywhere in between is going to have a really big opportunity in all of this. And so love, I think it's a perfect tie-in that talking Central Ohio on this one story, but the work you're doing in Southern Ohio is just, it's absolutely vital to it as well. So it's a big time thing that, as you said, the entire state has this interesting opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. Can't agree more.
Yeah. Story number 3. This is kind of a fun one. Kroger, another great Ohio company. They opened what they call the Spoke Center in Central Ohio, but it's part of this broader story that we've talked about a bunch on here. That's e-commerce, and in this case, grocery delivery. But these assembled orders, they arrive at this 61,000 square foot facility from Kroger's Robotic Customer Fulfillment Center in Monroe, Ohio. Then they're transferred to refrigerated vans for delivery to customers. So it's just kind of the latest push in their position to become a grocery e-commerce giant by kind of using these technology, this infrastructure that they already have to fill orders with all these different supermarkets across the state. But it's a pretty cool one. And there's been stories over time we've covered about them using drones to do delivery. So we're kind of seeing this last mile logistics using tech to do it. It's pretty cool how we've kind of, seen a lot of innovation in this space.
I absolutely love to see this. And in particular, thinking about the impacts of the pandemic and seeing a lot of different startups that are working in this space and how valuable it is to have a company like Kroger that's taking the lead on this, that has a lot more resources they can bring to bear on this type of startup activity and support an industry like this in Ohio.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that can't go unnoticed.
Yeah, it really can. And I mean, this is last mile logistics and kind of e-com. I mean, it's literally everywhere, and COVID accelerated it. So to see one of Ohio's most iconic brands really taking a lead in it is really, really neat. And hopefully that'll reverberate on some of the opportunities for our state to continue building out our e-commerce, perspective and, kind of being seen as a leader in it. So really cool story. David, we got about a minute left or so. So tell us a little bit about more of what you're doing at the Innovation Hub, maybe some little teaser on some of the stuff you're working on that you mentioned for this fall.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be an exciting fall for us. It really is. I mentioned the pandemic a minute ago. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, when we all had to work from home, we also started a renovation of our building for the Kricker Innovation Hub. So that could not have lined up better. And we are at the point where we are ready to have our grand opening this summer in August, right for the start of the fall semester for the university, and begin to develop those new programs and activities that are ultimately going to make a difference here down the road. So as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I'm most excited about for this opportunity is taking our game development program, which is ranked in the top 10 in the country, and beginning to connect that with the larger economy in the state, really not just the region, sometimes not even just the state, but in the game development industry and beyond. We have a lot of really talented students that are doing great work, and they deserve to be able to stay in Ohio, work in this industry, and bring their skills to bear. And even more importantly, the skills they're learning are not solely limited to game development. This is computer science. This is software development. We see our alumni go into a lot of different fields. So I'm really excited to have this space open for them and can't wait to be back on and talk more about that.
Yeah, that's really, really neat. And as you said, kind of the esports is such a great entry point to learning more. You can stay in it and do a bunch of cool stuff, but you can also use it to kind of keep building out your technical capabilities and, who knows where it's going to take you once you start. But David, thanks so much for joining. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the work that you're doing at Shawnee State. We appreciate it. We'll definitely have you back on sometime soon. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.